Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Retail theft has made headlines in recent weeks, and the problem got a close look at a congressional hearing today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. San Diego County District Attorney Summer Stephan was there to share her expertise. KPBS reporter John Carroll has more on her testimony.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will give before the Committee on Homeland
DA Summer Stephan appeared in front of the Congressional Subcommittee on Counterterrorism, Law Enforcement, and Intelligence as she prepares to take over as president of the National District Attorneys Association. She framed the subject of retail theft as about much more than financial loss.
Talk to the employees in the stores. You will sense the fear and the trauma and how much impact this has on human beings.
The National Retail Federation's David Johnston has spent decades in loss prevention. He says while shoplifting and organized retail theft isn't new, what's happening today is. And he says without congressional action, it will only get worse.
The frequency of theft, the openness and brazenness of the criminals, the violence, and the quantities and type of merchandise stolen are truthful indicators of criminal activity beyond amateur or opportunistic shoplifting for need.
Stephan and the witnesses on her panel called for Congress to pass the Combating Organized Retail Crime Act. It would create a coordinated multi-agency response to tackle organized retail theft. But Stephan says prosecutors in California are hampered by a law passed by voters that makes all thefts below $950 a misdemeanor. It used to be $400.
It didn't allow for first time or second time. There's no aggregation, and you can steal every day of the week just under $950.
Stephan says communication and coordination between all stakeholders is key to bringing organized retail crime under control, here and all across the U.S. John Carroll, KPBS News.
And retail stores aren't the only place where theft is a concern this holiday season. It could happen right at your front door. Coming up, what to do if you become a victim of package scams.
Well, it's going to turn breezy once again with a Santa Ana wind event developing tonight through Wednesday into Thursday. Not a tremendously strong one, but we will see an increase in fire danger, and we're going to see that wind pick up. So a little cool here for the next day or two before a warming trend wins out as well. But regarding that wind event here, we're looking at gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour. It is a dry downsloping wind, as all Santa Ana events are, and that can lead to an increase in fire danger. We're going to talk more about this and this temperature transition coming up.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky is in Washington today. The visit comes as Congress is in a stalemate over a funding bill which includes aid to Ukraine and Israel. Karen Kaifa has the latest from Capitol Hill.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House Tuesday, his third visit to Washington since Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022.
We stand at a real inflection point this year.
Zelensky also made the rounds on Capitol Hill in the midst of a congressional fight over additional U.S. aid to Ukraine in its fight against Russia.
He made it clear, and we all made it clear, that if we lose, Putin wins. And this will be very, very dangerous for the United States.
The $60 billion for Ukraine is part of a broader proposal by the Biden administration that would also include aid for Israel's war against Hamas, for Taiwan, and for security at the U.S. southern border. It's the border piece that some conservative Republicans say is not enough.
It's hard to justify spending billions on Ukraine when we can't even support our own border security and our own national security here.
Other Republicans urging compromise.
Our Ukrainian friends' cause is just. And if the West continues to stand with them, they can win.
The Biden administration arguing that not sending more aid to Ukraine will only bolster Russia.
They won't have the capabilities, the weapons, the tools they need to fight back. It's a dire situation here, not just up on Capitol Hill, but it's going to be a dire situation in the east and the south of Ukraine very, very soon.
White House officials say existing funding could run out by the end of the year if Congress does not act. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Here at home, we've seen a surge of migrants at our southern border. For the past 7 months, migrants have been camping out in Jacumba daily, waiting to be processed for asylum. Volunteers say migrants arrive at one of 3 campsites in the area when they cross San Diego's border. They say that there aren't many resources, and often migrants have to leave behind their clothing and even personal documents.
It's not dignified, and it's not how we should treat people on their first day in this country. We've spent a lot of donated money. We've had a ton of donated supplies, but it's a big strain on all of us, right? Like, this has been going on for months. We're broke, we're tired.
Volunteers also say the camps could have hundreds of people in them at a time. The Pentagon recently grounded its entire fleet of V22 Ospreys. That decision follows a crash near Japan that killed 8 Air Force airmen last month. And as KPBS military reporter Andrew Dyer explains, it's uncertain when the aircraft could be cleared for takeoff again.
With its massive twin propellers mounted on rotating wings, the V22 Osprey is unlike any aircraft in the sky. It's a tilt rotor, not a plane nor a helicopter. That unique capability has proved useful in today's modern military, but at some cost. 10 Ospreys have crashed since the aircraft entered service in 2007. Counting several crashes prior when the Osprey was in development, more than 50 service members have been killed in crashes. Dan Grazier, a senior defense policy fellow at the Project on Government Oversight, was a Marine officer for 10 years. He says with that history, the Osprey appears to be unsafe.
Just over the last 2 years, there have been 4 fatal crashes and 20 fatalities.
Among those are 5 Camp Pendleton Marines killed last year when their Osprey crashed in Imperial County. Grazer says Osprey crashes have inflated casualty numbers because they're often used as troop carriers.
So it gives the impression that the Osprey is more dangerous than other aircraft.
In July, a Marine investigation found the Camp Pendleton Osprey crashed after a hard clutch engagement, a known problem with Ospreys. When this problem occurs, the Osprey can roll out of control. The issue has led to multiple groundings in the past. The Marine Corps flies most of the Ospreys in the Pentagon's arsenal, and they're a daily fixture in San Diego skies near Marine bases Camp Pendleton and Miramar. Grazer says the Osprey's unique capabilities make it invaluable to the Marine Corps, so much so the service has essentially built itself around having them over the last decade.
And so because of that, because the Marine Corps has really built an operating concept around this aircraft, whenever they're grounded, that creates a huge disruption to Marine Corps operations.
It's too soon to say what caused the Air Force Osprey to crash last month. The investigation is ongoing, but results can take more than a year to be released. Military officials in San Diego couldn't say by deadline when Ospreys might again take flight. Currently deployed to the Western Pacific, the San Diego-based Carl Vinson is the only aircraft carrier at sea with Ospreys. A Naval Air Forces spokesperson says since the Navy has multiple logistic redundancies, strike group operations haven't been affected. Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
A lawsuit against former San Diego State punter Matt Arisa will be dismissed. Arisa was accused of raping a then 17-year-old girl at an off-campus house party in 2021. His attorney says Arisa will drop his defamation countersuit against the woman as part of an agreement. That agreement does not include monetary terms. The civil case is currently still active against 4 other former SDSU football players. Trial is set to begin in February. Student workers are protesting UC San Diego's decision to let go of 5 of their own. Workers rallied outside of UCSD's Moores Cancer Center today, and they say the university removed 5 international postdoctoral students from their jobs who are now facing deportation. Some workers say they'll even be separated from their family if the university's decision holds.
We have families, we have babies. My baby is 11-month-old and her visa is still in the process. I have my friend Suresh here. her baby is like couple of months, one month, I think. And her baby's passport, visa, and social security is still in the process.
KPBS reached out to UC San Diego for comment, but have not heard back. San Diego Pride is wrapping up the year with new leadership and some uncertainty for the future of the organization. Public input was given in a town hall meeting last night. Today, KPBS reporter MG Perez spoke with the two interim executive directors leading the transition.
I believe Serafina Scapiccio and Jen La Barbera have been asked many times in the past couple of weeks why they agreed to lead San Diego Pride temporarily and together.
To immediately support the staff and volunteers.
My yes came in part from feeling a responsibility and an obligation to my colleagues and the staff here.
It's a significant responsibility that goes well beyond the annual San Diego Pride Parade and Festival in July. The organization has 22 employees and a database of more than 2,800 volunteers. Next year marks the 10th anniversary of the Pride She-Fest event. It's also the 30th anniversary of Pride's nonprofit incorporation and the 50th anniversary of the first San Diego Pride March.
With the dual leadership and moving into that for this interim period, I think is really going to set us up really well to do right by all of those anniversaries, to do right by our community that wants to see us both celebrate them and also fight for them.
Serafina has been Pride's Director of Philanthropy and Operations and Finance. Jen is the first Director of Education and Advocacy. They replaced Fernando Lopez, who was let go 3 weeks ago in what was called an amicable split with the Board of Directors, now looking for a permanent replacement.
I think the most important thing is someone that can come in and not only drive continuity, because we have so many great programs and services that we're already offering, but then also build upon that.
The change in San Diego Pride leadership came suddenly and unexpectedly to many people in the community. It also came with lots of questions and concerns for what comes next. Here's a sample of the public comments from a town hall meeting Monday night.
Did you know that firm would be leaving? Why did we opt for the dual leadership role in transition? Why have many Pride employees left in such a short period of time?
People wanted assurance last night that the programs they love are not going away, our community grants programs aren't going away, that Pride will continue to be an advocate for community issues, and I hope that we gave them that reassurance.
And both have also been asked many times in the past couple of weeks, do they want the permanent position?
I did step up temporarily just to get us through.
My intention is to just do this interim piece and then go back to my education and advocacy world.
And that is the last word for now. MG Perez, KPBS News.
U.S. consumer price inflation cooled further last month, according to the latest data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. One of the reasons for the dip, falling gas prices. But even with the encouraging trend, a closer look at the numbers shows prices in some sectors are still rising. Ivan Rodriguez has more.
Stocks inching higher during the trading day Tuesday after the release of new figures from the Bureau of Labor Statistics continue to show inflation is easing. The latest consumer price index rose 3.1% for the 12 months ending in November, showing a slight decline from the 3.2% in October.
Compared to pre-pandemic levels, prices are still higher. The good news is that inflation peaked a long time ago.
Gas prices sank 5.8% from October, driving the drop in CPI. But the cost of shelter still shows no signs of easing.
We still have higher costs for shelter and services overall, so there's still a bit of a battle going on out there with respect to prices.
Food prices, on the other hand, moderated from the month before, with inflation down nearly 2/3 from its peak of 9.1% last June. President Biden is celebrating progress.
America's had the strongest growth and now is the lowest inflation of any major economy in the world, but there's more to do.
When taking out more volatile components like food and gas prices, core CPI rose 0.3% from October, leaving the year-over-year growth rate unchanged at 4%, the lowest it's been since September 2021.
Inflation has moderated somewhat more quickly than expected of late, and so we could get a pleasant surprise that inflation is not nearly the factor that we might have thought in the coming year.
Ivan Rodriguez, KPBS News.
As people are buying gifts online and in stores for the holidays, KPBS reporter Melissa May tells us about the newest scam targeting consumers and how to spot it.
The Better Business Bureau is trying to raise awareness of a fake package delivery scam this holiday season. If you receive a text message like this, "Hi, my name is Tony. I work for some delivery company and I'm trying to find your house. Please call me." And when you call the number, the scammer asks you to confirm personal details like your name, address, or credit card information. Jasmine Hill with the Better Business Bureau says to be vigilant of calls or texts from unknown numbers.
A spoof number, so they could be identifying themselves as another business. It could be that blocked caller ID. A lot of new phones now will tell you scam likely. A major rule of thumb, I would say, if somebody really needed to get a hold of you, they would leave a voicemail. These scammers aren't usually going to leave a voicemail and have you call them back. They want it immediate.
This scam may be difficult to identify because the BBB says the callers are friendly and professional. And if you don't comply, they may try to convince you that the package is from a relative or friend. To protect yourself from scams, Hill recommends
write down what you're buying, when you purchased it, maybe even what card you purchased it on. Make your purchases with a debit or credit card if you need to dispute a charge.
If you are a victim of this scam or any other scam, the BBB says to report it to the Federal Trade Commission. To report suspicious activity or find out scams happening in your area, go to the BBB Scam Tracker website at bbb.org/scam tracker. Melissa May, KPBS News.
King tides will return to our coast over the next few days. Beachgoers can expect to see big waves through Christmas. King tides are caused by the gravitational pull from the sun and the moon, typically following a new moon. At their peak, waves can reach 7 feet. Waves are expected to fall closer to 6 feet by this weekend. The tides brought out photographers and artists hoping to capture the beauty.
I've been here many times before and I just love it, and I'm so excited to see the different colors and the terrific waves. It's just glorious.
And lifeguards are keeping a close eye on the conditions. They say they are working under normal operations for now, but that may change if we were to get high surf combined with the tide.
Well, we do have a lot of weather headlines here for the next few days. A bit of a Santa Ana wind event will accompany a brief cool down, and after we get through the next 2 days, we'll begin to warm back up as well. But the winds will be downsloping, and it'll be a relatively strong downsloping wind event. So Santa Ana winds always bring an increase in fire danger. So we'll look at that here in just a moment. But in the meantime, tonight, the winds begin to pick up a bit, especially breezy, if not gusty, through the canyons and passes. We'll get down to 48 degrees in and around the San Diego Metro. And again, you can see the Santa Ana winds here pick up initially tonight, Wednesday night into early Thursday morning before the winds decrease a bit for Friday. And in these areas in that pink, especially inland parts of San Diego County, will have gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour. But some of the canyons and passes will see stronger winds. And if you're driving a high-profile vehicle, be careful. There will be some strong crosswinds there if you're traveling kind of parallel to the slope of the mountains. As we take a look at the overall forecast for our Wednesday, we do have a bit of a breeze during the day. 71 into Ramona, Escondido 71, 66 degrees for your high into San Diego. A pretty bright sky, just a few coastal clouds, but they're not going to last too long, and will be around 71 in Borrego Springs there on the warm side of things. So the coastal forecast, again, breezy out there through Wednesday night into early Thursday. Temperatures cool Wednesday, but look at the rise, an 8-degree jump from Wednesday's high of 68 to 76 on Friday. A pretty notable warm up there. We're going to hover at 76 for your high on Saturday as well. And then we'll see an increase in clouds. Could be a few showers next week, especially Monday into Tuesday. So that is one thing to look forward to. But as we look at the inland forecast here, we go from 70 on Wednesday to 79 Friday. 80 then Saturday. 10-degree rise there. But look out for the wind. It will be breezy, especially at night. Into the mountains, we're going to feel that wind through the canyons and passes into Wednesday night, and early Thursday morning as well. 44 for Wednesday, back up to 50 for Friday. Temperatures modestly warming up there. And then into the deserts, we rise from the low 70s to the mid 70s, and will be a little breezy there as well. For KPBS, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jeff Cornish.
Did you know there is a San Diego connection to Betty Crocker, the fictional baking expert created nearly a century ago? Well, KPBS reporter John Carroll shows us that connection is only part of why a 9-acre property in the rolling hills of Valley Center is so special.
This busy scene is collectively known as Brick and Barn. What is Brick and Barn? Well, here's how co-owner Marlise Cast-Myers describes the place, taking into account the Betty Crocker piece.
Some people are like, you should call it the Betty Crocker Estate. You should call it something with Betty Crocker. And we wanted to have a whole identity separate from Agnes or Betty Crocker. It's a bonus, but once you come here, you're finding like an experience in communities.
When Cast-Myers and her husband Benjamin bought this place 5 years ago, it was in bad shape.
Everything was dead. We hauled away over 20 tons of garbage and a lot of green waste. The pool was broken. The barn was leaking. We had a rat infestation. There was just a lot of love that the place needed.
And a lot of love is what it got, in the form of money spent and sweat equity invested. Fortunately, Benjamin is one of those people who can build, fix, and improve all sorts of things.
Gardens, chicken coops, repairing roofs, putting in sprinkler lines, the whole front yard. He did all the landscaping on that, which we call Central Park. He built the stalls for all of the vendors that come once a month.
And that brings us to what exactly is going on here. At the outdoor stalls, you'll find delights to the eyes, temptations for the tummy.
A lot of people that have never been here before just can't believe that they never heard about it before.
Harold Cook has managed Brick and Barn since the beginning.
I think it's really like community. People love to come and hang out. We have customers that come every month, and they'll come early, get a coffee, they'll shop a little, they'll come out front, they'll sit and chat, then they'll eat lunch, and then they'll shop some more.
Much of that shopping happens inside the barn. The theme was Christmas when we were there. People were packed in, strolling the aisles, occasionally bumping into the wind chimes, discovering all sorts of seasonal delights, things you probably wouldn't see anywhere else, like this Christmas tree snow globe that never needs shaking. Next month, all the holiday merchandise will be gone. All the vendors will spend the next 3 weeks searching for all new treasures. And that's what keeps Brick and Barn fresh.
If everything looked exactly the same with a few new things in it, the motivation to come would not be the same. So it's funny, a lot of our customers think, oh, we have 3 weeks off or 4 weeks off, and we're here working every week putting it together for them.
I've been doing it for 65 years.
90-year-old Bob McNeil presides over one of the outside stalls. Unlike the bakery or the plush toys being knit while you watch, you never know what you're going to find here, just like Bob on the weeks in between these once-a-month gatherings.
It's the hunt, being out there. Estate sales, pawn shops, yard sales. It's just exciting. It's the buying.
And the selling. Lots of selling. This line is made up of people just waiting to pay for their items. Outside, around the back of the barn, you find something quite unexpected, unless you're an archaeologist or historian.
Yeah, so these are the old Matati stones from the Native Americans. They are all over the property.
But what Kumeyaay women used to grind things like corn into meal today serve another purpose.
They double now today as little bird fountains for our birds.
Birds. A lot of birds call this their home. The peacocks will wander down to see what's going on with all the humans. But most, like the resident flock of guinea hens, along with 2 curious turkeys and various other fowl, stick closer to the house. Apart from the Brick and Barn experience, there's something else very special on this 9-acre plot of land. It's the main house. It began its life in 1883 as the Clark House, but by 1941, Agnes White and her family had moved here. She did her nationwide, on the radio, cooking show from the house's kitchen. Would you like to see inside? I knew you would.
Let's go inside.
Yes.
You're gonna love it.
I know I will. Marlise and Benjamin have, as she says, restored, not renovated, this place. Carpet was ripped up, on the stairs revealing a secret drawer. The 2 bathrooms were modernized. That music you hear is coming from one of them, meant for people outside getting a massage or spa treatment next to the pool. But the main thing here, at least from the Betty Crocker years, is the kitchen.
So this spot right here is where Agnes White did Cooking Show of the Air.
This period photo shows White in front of a microphone of that era, talking about recipes, answering listeners' questions. It's a culinary trip back in time. The house is not open to the public. It is, after all, where Marlise and Benjamin live. But there is so much to see and experience here. A place of warmth, of community. We've put a link on our website with everything you need to know about this special historical place, set among the rolling hills of Valley Center. John Carroll, KPBS News.
And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. Virtual reality headsets, online gaming platform memberships, and mini robots are among the hottest gifts for kids this holiday season. But some parent and consumer groups tell NPR's Morning Edition these tech-driven toys are not safe for play. And KPBS Midday Edition speaks to a local physician about the role racism plays in Black women's health care. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Previs Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.